So, what's the price of a man's soul? It's a question that just echoes through Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. And you know what? It all kicks off with this really unsettling bargain made over a simple glass of wine. Today, we're going to dive into the powerful opening chapters of this novel that literally changed the world, and we'll see just how masterfully Stowe exposes the corrupt heart of a nation.
Okay, let's start with this quote. Humanity is the pillar of the organization. I mean, it sounds pretty noble, right? But here's the chilling part. The man who says this, a trader named Haley, is talking about his business of buying and selling human beings. It's exactly this kind of twisted, self-serving logic that Stowe puts right at the very center of her story.
So the novel doesn't open out in the cotton fields. No, it opens in a comfortable, well-furnished dining room in Kentucky. You've got two men negotiating over wine. But this isn't a land deal. It's not a business merger. It's a transaction that's about to tear families apart, all to settle a debt.
And here are the two guys at the table. On one side, you have Mr. Shelby, the plantation owner. He really sees himself as this refined, respectable gentleman. And on the other side is Haley, the slave trader, who Stowe paints as coarse and vulgar. You know, the flashy vest, the rings, the whole deal. One man is the polished surface of Southern respectability. The other is the crude, ugly reality of the business. And they're about to shake hands.
So what exactly are these assets they're discussing? Well, they're people. First, there's Uncle Tom, a man Mr. Shelby himself calls pious and so trustworthy that he's basically been running the entire estate. And then there's little Harry, a 5-year-old boy whose main job is to, well, amuse his master. In this room, their lives, their families, their entire futures, they're all being boiled down to just line items in a ledger. So you have to be asking, how can a supposed gentleman like Mr. Shelby even consider this? Well, this is where the story gets really deep into the psychology of the whole system, exposing the wild justifications people create to make the unthinkable seem, well, reasonable.
Just look at how these two men define humanity. For Mr. Shelby, it's this weak, flimsy, self-serving guilt. He claims he doesn't want to sell little Harry away from his mother, but that feeling just evaporates the second his own finances are on the line. But Haley's version of humanity, it's even more twisted. For him, a slave's faith isn't about salvation. It's a feature that increases their market value. And any kindness is just a business tactic to keep the merchandise from getting damaged.
Get this. Haley actually says that. He tells a story about another trader who ripped a child away from its mother, which caused the mother to go mad and die. But Haley's takeaway isn't about the horror of it all. No, for him, it was a waste of $1,000. So, in his mind, being humanitarian just means managing his goods in a way that gets him the most profit. It is an absolutely bone-chilling perspective.
While this cold, calculated deal is being hammered out in the main house, Stowe does something brilliant. She pulls back the curtain to show us the vibrant human world that's about to be completely destroyed. So inside that dining room, a man's life is signed away with a simple stroke of a pen. Mr. Shelby, the kind master, sells Uncle Tom, the man he trusts with literally everything, all to cover his own bad debts. It's quiet, it's civilized, and it's utterly monstrous.
But at that exact same moment, in Tom's cabin, there is so much warmth and love and community. His wife, Aunt Chloe, is proudly cooking dinner. The kids are playing. The Shelby's own son, young George, is affectionately teaching Tom how to write his letters. Their home is the center of this joyful prayer meeting for the whole community. It's just buzzing with life. This is a line from one of the hymns they're all singing together. The cabin is just filled with faith, with hope, and with song. They're a family, a community, and they are completely unaware that the world as they know it is about to be shattered by a business deal happening just a few hundred feet away. And this is the brutal reality that's hanging over that beautiful, joyful scene. You see, it doesn't matter how kind the master is. It doesn't matter how strong their family bonds are. The law defined these people not as humans, but as property. And that single terrible fact makes all their happiness, all their love, completely and utterly fragile. It could all be wiped away based on the debts or the whims of their owner at any moment. So when you're faced with a reality that brutal, how do you respond? Well, Stowe immediately gives us two powerful and very, very different answers to that question. One is rebellion, and the other is faith. First, we meet George Harris. He's Eliza's husband. And this guy is a mechanical genius. He actually invented a machine to clean hemp. But instead of being rewarded, his jealous, petty master punishes him for it, forcing him into the most degrading labor imaginable. George's spirit, though, it refuses to be broken. His response is pure, righteous anger.
And George doesn't just get angry, he acts. He comes up with this daring, incredibly intelligent plan. He's going to pretend to submit, prepare everything in secret, and then make a run for Canada. And his goal isn't just his own freedom. He wants to earn enough money to come back and buy his wife and his child. He is a man of action, driven by an absolute refusal to be treated like a thing.
So right here, we see these two poles of resistance. George questions the very foundation of the system. He asks, who made this man my master? His heart is just burning with defiance. Uncle Tom, on the other hand, operates from a place of deep Christian faith and a sense of duty. When he was tempted to run away before, his response was, the master trusts in me and I couldn't do it. So you have one man who will fight the system, and another who will endure it through faith. And both of those paths are about to be tested.
So the deal is done. The ink is dry. And now the consequences start to ripple through the Shelby household, completely shattering its peaceful facade.
Eliza, Harry's mother and a favorite of Mrs. Shelby, just happens to overhear part of the conversation. She hears the traitor, Haley, ask for her son by name. And in that one instant, she is just filled with this visceral terror that every single enslaved mother lived with every day, the fear that her child could be taken and sold away like an animal. Now, when a terrified Eliza goes to her mistress, this is what Mrs. Shelby tells her, and she says it with complete and total confidence. She genuinely believes it. In her mind, she's a good person, a protector of her household. But what she doesn't see, what she's completely blind to, is how desperate her husband's finances are and just how fragile her own power really is.
And then, the devastating moment of truth arrives. Later that night, away from everyone, Mr. Shelby finally admits what he's done. He confesses that to save himself from financial ruin, he sold Uncle Tom, his most faithful servant, and little Harry, a 5-year-old boy.
This is Mrs. Shelby's reaction. It's just pure horror and disbelief. In this moment, her entire understanding of her husband, her home, her own moral world, it all just comes crashing down. The impossible has happened, and it's revealed the true, brutal nature of the system they're living in.
And that's the question Stowe just leaves hanging in the air for all of us. You see, Mr. and Mrs. Shelby don't see themselves as monsters. They truly believe they are good people, but they are willing participants in a monstrous system. And so Stowe forces us, the readers, to ask, when the law itself turns people into property, can anyone who takes part in that system, anyone at all, truly be good? It's a question that shattered the conscience of a nation, and it's one that still hits hard today. Thanks for joining me.